Good afternoon, everyone. Sam here. Time for another book review video. Um, Today, sitting here in a very hot summer's day, thinking about the impact of climate change on all aspects of our lives, including, of course, our spiritual and religious lives, something that's particularly pressing for those of us who follow an earth centered, uh, pagan, heathen um, spirituality and can see the destruction that the spiritualities that divide humankind from the rest of nature have done to the world. Um, it's not only a spiritual problem, it's a practical, material problem, physical problem as well. We can't simply make the world better by changing our consciousness, although changing our consciousness and thus empowering us to change our actions seems like a valuable part of the earth saving, earth healing process that we all are going to have to engage in, or else see the collapse of our civilization and the deaths of many millions of people in the fairly near future, within the next century or so. Well, rather than just being a harbinger of doom, I think I'd like to point you to some valuable resources in changing our way of approaching the world, empowering our spirituality to be centered on the earth and on the healing of the earth. I'm going to begin with an older book. This is Reweaving the World, The Emergence of Ecofeminism, edited by Irene Diamond and Gloria Feman Orenstein. It's published by Sierra Club Books in 1990. It's a collection of shorter pieces by some well-known feminist and ecological thinkers, folks like Charlene Spretnak, Rianne Eisler, Carol Christ, Carolyn Merchant, Judith Plant, and others, numerous others. Um, it's an interesting perspective. They try to blend uh, feminist ideas and ecological sensibility by seeing that environmental problems are rooted in the rise of patriarchy and the ideology that the earth and nature can be exploited for human progress without any concern for the lives of other creatures in it. It's a yes, it's a provocative and interesting collection. Uh, a movement, the ecofeminist movement, that unfortunately flourished for a while, and is now much less prominent than it was, but still very worth reading and engaging with. From another perspective, Systematic Theology and Climate Change: Ecumenical Perspectives, edited by Michael Northcott and Peter Scott, from Routledge, 2014. This is a Christian-based theological text. Um, it's definitely a textbook. The theology in it is fairly crunchy. They're taking ideas that are central to Christianity and looking at them with an ecological eye. Ideas like the Trinity, notions of Christology, the Holy Spirit, the sacredness of creation, the nature of humanity, sin and salvation, and eschatology. Interesting book for those who have a theological background, a theological bent. I'm a pagan, and I found some things in here that were provocative and valuable. It's not only for the Christians. A recent book. This one was just published this year by Moon Books. Nope, 2023 by Moon Books. Church of Birds, an echo history of myth and religion. It takes the observation of much anthropology and archaeology that human beings, when we were wandering the earth in small bands, tended to follow the migration paths of birds and to settle where there were a lot of birds, partly because we ate birds, but also because he argues there's a deep connection to the rhythms of nature, and the migration paths of the birds were also paths of the spirit, that birds have always been seen as harbingers of spirit. They are the initiators. They give humankind language, often teach us agriculture, and have powerful spiritual roles in many cultures. It's a broad cross-cultural exploration. It's more of a poetic and evocative exploration than a purely scholarly or academic work. I find it inspiring, though, and I'll recommend it as an interesting and valuable way to start grounding ourselves as human beings as part of the natural world, something that we absolutely must do. Here's one, The Wild Earth, Wild Soul by Sky Otter. It's a second edition. The original was 2014. This one's 2025. Again, published by Moon Books. This is a manual on how to set up and create a week-long or longer spiritual community centered on recapturing our connection to the earth. A number of different things that he deals with notes for those who would be guides or leaders, different academic sources and ideas, how to get started, how to use ritual, the notion of a spiritual permaculture, a spirituality that feeds into our relationship with the earth and draws from it, and it's not exploitive. We don't see nature as something outside of our car windows as we're driving from one city to another, but are deeply engaged in it. Things like listening, feeling, and healing, an immersion in the natural world, going out there into the woods and experiencing it directly, the power of story, ceremony, altered states of consciousness, mentoring, and art and music, a wide range of different topics, a very interesting setup to what's intended to be a 10-day long group experience with a small group of others in the landscape to awaken a sense of ourselves as human beings as part of nature. Yes. Deep Ecology, edited by Michel Tobias. This is a very good collection, again, of essays on different aspects of a earth-centered, nature-centered, spiritual and political lifestyle. It's published originally in 1984, this edition by 1988 by Avant Books. It has some really really important writers in that general vein of things, the deep ecology vein of things. Tobias, of course, George Sessions, Dolores LaChapelle, who else do I see? Garrett Hardin, Murray Bookchin, Arneas, and others. It's an older collection, but many of the essays in here have real lasting value. In particular, I strongly recommend Dolores LaChapelle's book, essay rather, Sacred Land, Sacred Sex, as an insightful look at a spirituality that's deeply engaged in the natural world. Another collection, an older collection of essays. This is more for inspirational purposes. It's The Star Thrower by Loren Eisley. This 1978. It's a collection of older pieces published by Harcourt, Brace and Company. Loren Eisley was a naturalist, a university professor, a naturalist, and a brilliant and wonderful essayist. He wrote beautiful, deeply spiritually connected, deeply earth-connected essays about humanity and about the relationships that we might potentially have with other living beings. Several of the essays in here I've read many times, and they continue to really deeply move me. The Judgment of the Birds is one, The Long Loneliness. The Dance of the Frogs, The Bird and the Machine is absolutely brilliant. A reflection on the possibility of artificial intelligence and the huge chasm between animals which can feel, can care, can love, and the machines which cannot. Just an amazing collection. I very strongly recommend reading Loren Eisley for inspiration, not for the technical details that a book like Wild Earth, Wild Soul, or Thinking Like a Mountain will give you. Okay, yeah, just a couple more here. This one's a brand new book as well. Wyrd Ecology, Heathen Ritual and Gifting Relations by Barbara Ann Davy, published by Oxford University Press this year, 2025. This is a scholarly book looking the author's a professor at Western University in London, Ontario, and the University of Waterloo, and and also a heathen, and she was involved in heathen communities in Ontario, and did participant observation and wrote this book, which is scholarly but very well written, very personal, and quite fascinating on how the ritual practices of heathenry, particularly giving gifts to the gods as part of a symbol or other ritual, reflects and develops and grows a ecological sensibility. How by giving the land gifts and taking gratefully from the land, we establish a reciprocal relationships, spiritually reciprocal relationships with the powers of nature inside of a heathen framework, but something that can be broadened out beyond that one specific pagan framework. A very, very good, very interesting book. Again, I don't give you books that I don't recommend, but this one, particularly when we have this notion of heathenry as being like these overly butch Norse cosplayer wannabes, either that or else fascist white supremacist jerks. Those people are a tiny minority of the larger heathen spiritual community, and it's about time we got some decent theological and academic research into the depths of heathenry. Okay, two more. One quite academic. This, Stormy Weather, Pagan Cosmologies, Christian Times, and Climate Wreckage by William E. Connolly, published, where the hell's it? Published 2024 by Fordham University Press. This is a deep and chewy philosophy textbook. He takes a very critical eye on the philosophical turn at the foundation of Western culture, which he believes to be deeply mistaken, and he critically counterposes some philosophers who are earth-centered, ecstatic, whose spiritual and ethical perspectives are contrary to the earth exploitative separation of humankind and nature that is dominates the Western philosophical tradition. Yes, it's chewy, and yes, if you don't have an academic background in philosophy, you will find it quite difficult. But I encourage people to work through it because, again, it gives us a deep grounding in possibilities of rethinking our way out of the mess of Western civilization. And last but not least, Richard Mabey, Weeds, How Vagabond Plants Great Crashed Civilization and Changed the Way We Think About Nature. This is just a really entertaining little book. It's 2010, published by Profile Books in England, and it's profiles of different weeds, plants that came to England, particularly from other places in the world, how they have adapted or not, how they are found, what kind of role in the ecosystem that they play, what native species they may have displaced, and it's wonderfully descriptive. This guy obviously really loves his plants, and it gives you a notion of civilization and the spread of empire as an ecological phenomenon, as well as a material and economic one. Anyhow, so these are all just places to start. I encourage people to read actual ecology, to get to know the plants and animals in your local area, to walk in your local woods, to plant native plants in your garden, to encourage pollinators to come. All of these practical, small-scale changes in your life, which will connect you to the world around you more deeply, and also do some a small amount, at least, of real benefit to the ecology of your area. Anyways, have a good day, everybody, and stay cool. Bye-bye.